As always, Ted kicks off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
Those that like drama at USC with Lincoln Riley.
Oh boy.
Um, you know, maybe it's nothing, probably nothing, but I still think it's funny. Pete Carroll uh won a national championship at USC, won a Super Bowl with Seattle. Everyone remembers that as the glory days of USC, the Heisman Trophy winners, the stars, the big games. Well, he's no longer in Seattle. Uh, he's at USC now. He's teaching a class at USC, not coaching, but he said he hasn't shut the door on coaching. He may still like to get back into it. I mean, that can't make you feel comfortable if you're Lincoln Riley, right?
I I thought you were going down the road of the tweet they had announcing Miller Moss as the starter, where it was
Uh,
like Baker, Tyler, Caleb. I was like, wait, those are OU guys. What are you doing? I thought that's where you were headed.
I didn't see that.
You're saying that Lincoln Riley's looking over his shoulder, looking for how old is Pete Carroll? He's 70 something,
72.
man.
72, but he's been old for a long time. He looks young. He's got tons of energy. And I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'm just saying like it can't make you feel good that the guy that everyone wants the program to get back to what it was like whenever he was there, well, he's there now teaching a class. I mean, just like of all the places. Okay. Baker, Kyler, Jalen, Spencer, Caleb, Miller. Hmm.
From the executive director of recruiting at USC. That
That's
would
weird.
never happen at Oklahoma.
No, that is so weird. A long list of non-USC players.
Strange, right?
Well, that's what happens when you're at the University of Lincoln Riley. It's all about Lincoln. I mean, you got one of the most tradition-rich programs in all of college football, and you go with the coach's
Leinart
history.
didn't even get a mention, man.
I know. Carson Palmer, no big deal. That's
That's a weird
wild.
tweet.
I know.
Speaking of weird, there's
Just
some guy that tweets us weekly. He's like, make Teddy tell the story of him taking Liner to Applebee's. And I've never brought it up, but we just mentioned him. Do you want to tell the story? Is that for another episode?
I well, I could tell the story. He came here on a recruiting trip, and one of my roommates was hosting him, and we pre-partied at Applebee's a little bit. No big deal.
Was that when they had it was like the $2 Long Island iced teas over there, the one off the highway?
Yeah.
Oh, getting getting some serious trouble over there at that Applebee's. Well, there's your story. You got it.
I think he went and told like said that somewhere or something, and um,
It probably came as a shot against Norman. Like, it took me to Applebee's. Like, oh,
I think it did.
you
But
got drunk, didn't you, buddy?
I'll tell you that he had a lot of fun that night. Okay, I'll just tell you that. So I don't want to hear anything coming out of his mouth. He had a great time.
There you have it, people. Who do you have as your loser of the week?
I had to go with Tua, which, I understand the mindset, and I love McDaniel and how he's treated that situation. I think that was exactly how you should handle it. Pump this guy up, give him a ton of confidence. He's a really good player. Um, I guess I don't know that you go out and when you're an active player like that and bring the business side of it out. I guess I don't know. What did you think about that?
So, for those of you that didn't see it, he basically said Brian Flores, who used to be the head coach there in Miami, is now the defensive coordinator for the
Mhm.
Vikings. That he just told him he wasn't good enough all the time, told him he didn't belong, told him he hadn't earned it. Like it sounded like he was rather tough on Tua.
Mhm.
And as Tua was saying it, I was sitting there going, that doesn't even come close to what Kevin Wilson used to say to me.
I was like, that's my first
Or
2 years
Josh
at
Heupel,
Oklahoma.
even. Like
Yeah.
I was like, that's bad in your mind. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like standard protocol.
It made him look a little soft. It did.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think Flores handled it really, really well.
yeah, I do too. You know, I can, the way, because the question was kind of like, what's the difference been? And I think you can answer that. Like, you could just say, like, all the great things that the McDaniel's done since he's been there. And you could say like it was just different, and you could even throw some of the stuff out there, but you've responded better to it. But I don't know, for whatever reason, it just doesn't. It takes focus off of him and how he's playing in the season, and you stir up something that doesn't need to be stirred up. I guess is what I thought about it.
Completely agree. The dude just signed a $212 million contract.
You're
Let it
playing
go.
well. One of the better offenses in the NFL last year.
You got the
That's right.
best wide receiver in the league on your team. Just say, hey, just talk about how much you love your current coach. I do think Flores said, hey, I wish the best for Tua. I'm worried about my guys here in Minnesota, is essentially what he said when he was asked about it by the media. And yeah, I don't think in the overall situation, don't you think Tua was the loser?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone went, that Brian Flores, what a meanie. I think most football guys' reaction was, I mean, that's nothing that we haven't all been told. Like, get over it. That's kind of what my reaction was, especially when you just signed a $212 million contract. Who
Yeah.
cares? Who cares that
Yeah.
he was mean to you? You're rich.
Yeah. And he didn't play well early on in his career. Okay, there's that too. Maybe part of it is because he was knocked unconscious over and over. But um, I don't know. It just didn't. It
He
wasn't a good look for Tua, I guess.
he didn't do himself any favors.
No, you opened yourself up to criticism to everyone by doing it.
Uh,
Whenever otherwise, no one has really had anything bad to say about the way he's played over the last couple of years. I think everyone's excited about Miami.
I think it just created an unnecessary storyline and an unnecessary distraction right before the season gets started for the Dolphins. Uh, but we'll all forget about it if they come out there and just light the scoreboard up offensively.
Well, we'll probably forget about it anyways.
That's true.
There'll be something new tomorrow or already.
Yeah. All right, let's get to my winner and loser first.
Insurica has launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered from small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
And head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. The new Stutzman Bowman gear, Ted. What do you think?
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty
That's
sweet.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Love
excited
it.
for those guys. It's just topical election year.
Mhm.
It just well done, Stutzman and Bowman. Great job. Opolisclothing.com, OPOLIS clothing.com, and use promo code TED, TED, for 10% off. Opolisclothing.com, promo code TED. Use it. You get 10% off, buttery soft, and 10% off. My winner of the week, college football personnel people. This is an area for, especially for the major programs, has been growing and growing and growing over these last several years. Did you see what Bama's GM got, Ted?
I did.
Courtney Morgan signed a 3-year deal where he will earn an average of $825,000 annually. Morgan came to Alabama with Kalen DeBoer from Washington, had a large role in assembling that Washington roster that played for it all a year ago. I can only imagine whether you want to call it, the front office, the personnel department. Can you imagine the personnel department group texts around the country when that thing hit?
They're like either upset that they already signed their contract or whatever, or rubbing their hands and saying, "Oh, buddy, we got some money coming our way."
I I saw a lot of people that seem to be making a big deal about this. Is it strange that my initial reaction was kind of seems like a bargain for Alabama? Because I listen, I understand college football, it's not the overall, it's not the juggernaut that the NFL is. But top NFL general managers are making like $8 million. Like the top guys are in the five to probably somewhere in between 5 and 10. And when you look at it that way, $825,000 a year, it seems like a really good deal, especially when you consider what general managers in college football have to do. I mean, the GMs in the NFL, you evaluate, you manage the roster, you make some tough decisions, right? You negotiate in free agency. Like that's your thing. You build the roster and everything that comes with it. Right now, for college football general managers, you've got NIL, recruiting, transfer portal, roster retention. You're pretty much, it seems like you're kind of a psychologist as well. You've got this revenue sharing component that's about to be part of it. You've got this 105 roster limit that's about to be part of it. These GMs are doing an insane amount of work, man. Like $825,000 feels like an absolute steal at arguably the premier program in college football. I mean, do you view it differently, Ted? Because when I saw such a strong reaction to the dollar amount, I kind of looked at it and went, you know what? Seems like a bargain for a guy that's going to have to deal with all of that.
Well, here's what the interesting thing is. Like, for example, in the NFL, every team has a GM, or at least I think they do. There's been like Belichick was like coach of GM, so I don't know. But in the NFL, there's like, if I got hired as the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, I would walk into that building today and there would be all of the process is in place. But GM in college football didn't exist a couple of years ago. And I would still say that I don't know that every team has one. I mean, they have different people handling the duties and all of that, but I don't know that if you go to every Power Four school that they've legitimately got a GM that is doing the GM stuff that we're seeing now. So it's a fairly new thing, and there is no process. So I if I walked in and I was hired as the GM of Kansas State and I walked in there, I'd probably have to build our process from the ground up, which is a very difficult thing to do in a changing environment. So I'm with you. Like 825K from, like, it's hard. They're dealing with a lot of things to begin with. It's even more difficult whenever you deal with a lot of things where there's no like real framework that has been built into the system of college football and you're trying to fit in there some way right now. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years from now, when everything has settled into a comfortable spot, well, then, plug and play at the GM spot. But right now, it's a very difficult job.
Very difficult and very time consuming. And I think it's only going to continue to get more and more important. Let's be real. College football is pro football now. That's kind of how it feels to me. And revenue sharing's coming, roster limits are coming. And it's going to be interesting to see how all of these schools, like the routes they choose to go with their GM position. I do think you're going to see some schools go more with like an evaluator type of guy, evaluating recruits, evaluating transfers, building the roster, like more of like a football guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you're going to see some schools go with more like a cap specialist type guy, like a numbers guy, an analytical type of guy. And they'll let the other people, like the coaches and some of the other personnel people, handle the roster building. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how each school, what they do with this GM role that I think is it's going to become a staple of college football.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know that number shocked a bunch of people across the country, because I don't think everyone knew that colleges have a GM now. So, and it's a big number, or it feels like a big number. And it's like, are you paying him for what he did at Washington, or because you've already got an incredible roster? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think that maybe that was where some of the hang up is. It's like, what exactly has he done so far? And I don't know. Just trying to
Well,
figure out what people may have got hung up on with it.
the big question for DeBoer was, is he going to be able to recruit at Bama? They got the number 2 recruiting class in the country right now.
They're
They've got
doing well.
6 5-stars committed.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
And I think Courtney Morgan is, and if you organize it by like average star rating, I think it's over like a 94. Like they are in a shocking development. Alabama is crushing it on the recruiting trail, and I think Courtney Morgan is getting a lot of credit for their success.
You think Kalen DeBoer is like, this is the easiest job in the world? What do you mean? Uh,
Probably.
you go like his track. You got to go to these places and just grind and figure out a way to try and get in on these players and convince them to come across the country. You go to Alabama, and it's just like a hunt and peck. Like, we want that guy.
Different world, man.
Yep.
All right, my loser of the week. People that enjoy watching people run down on kickoffs. The
Mm-hmm.
NFL's new kickoff format appears to be succeeding. Ted, I read a great article on The Athletic about it, about what the rule change has done so far in the NFL preseason. And I think the whole point was, hey, let's reduce some of these big collisions and let's get more kickoff returns.
Mm-hmm.
During the preseason over the last 4 years, 54.7% of kickoffs were returned. So far in this preseason, 78% of kickoffs have been
Yeah,
returned.
well, and remember, like that preseason number, 54.7, you got every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to make the football team, and they're trying to find returners. So they're bringing that ball out whenever they get a chance to.
Last year during the regular season, 21.8% of kickoffs were returned.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. There were 39 kickoff returns. There have been 39 kickoff returns of 30 or more yards this preseason. There are only 97 of those all of last regular season in the NFL.
That is that's a big number of kickoffs too.
Yeah.
For that many teams over 17 games.
Touchback rate this preseason is 19%. It was
That will,
73% in the regular season last year in the NFL.
I think that touchback number is going to go down, not up as teams. I think there's still a learning curve going right now, I think, to some degree, don't you?
Yeah, it's possible that when the regular season starts, the teams just say, "Hey, we don't want to mess with all this. Let's boot it through the end zone and we're going to let our opponent start at the 30." Some teams may do that, Ted, but you and I both know how college foot or how football coaches are wired. They're going to be in those meeting rooms going, "We're going to outcoach the other guys. We're smarter, we're better coaches." They're going to come up with all these schemes. They're going to kick it. They're going to be like, our cover units are going to be better than their return units. You know how these coaches are wired.
Yeah.
And they tend to think that they are better than who they are coaching against. And I'm hoping that that results in a lot of kickoff returns.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the way it's formatted, I think it's way easier to get creative and try and do some stuff, whether you're cross blocking or trapping guys or however you're going to do it. I think it's pretty easy to get creative there. And like I said, there's a learning curve. They're going to find a way over a lot of reps to find some things that work and where they can maybe create some plays. And it's going to be way easier and a safer approach to try and create some explosive plays on people.
So the reason my loser of the week is people that like watching people run down on kickoff is I'm starting to find it difficult to believe that we don't see this kickoff format in college football next season. So if you
Well,
like watching guys all down the field with the ball being kicked in the air, enjoy it this season, college football fans, because especially if the injury data is good from the NFL season, if they can prove that it's a very safe play, especially from a concussion standpoint, then I just don't see I don't see how there's any way that this isn't in college football next season.
I agree. But if I'm on the competition committee, I'm only agreeing to it if we change this stupid punt rules in college football. Like, if you're going to change the kickoff rule, then I know you can change the punt rule. So change it.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. College football and the NFL should have the same set of rules.
Yes, they should.
Now, there is a debate which rules you should take from college football and which rules you should take from professional football. Like the 1 foot, 2 foot on the on a reception. If we just want to make it all 1 foot, fine. If we want to make it all 2 feet, fine. Just make the damn rules the same. College football players are not like these are grown men. These guys are incredible athletes. They don't need different rules than the NFL. The set of rules should be the same. It would be easier on players, on coaches, on fans, on broadcasters. Just learn one set of rules for college football in the NFL. Take the best rules from each league, from each level, combine them into one set of rules that we can all know like the back of our hand. It is ridiculous that the hashes are different widths. Some of the most popular formations in college football are illegal in the NFL. Yes. That's insane, man. It makes no sense. Fix it. Same set of rules for college and for the NFL. Just do it. It's not that hard. Just get everyone in the same room. The NFL is going to want every one of their rules to win out. And okay, fine. Fine. We'll all adjust. Just make it one set of rules, Ted.
one set of rules, but if I have to start and I had to pick one, it's the punt. Change the punt rule.
There is nothing more. I don't know. You hate the fair catch on the kickoff probably the most. But the fact that I think a little piece of your soul dies every time someone gets in that spread punt formation with the three guys in the back.
Oh,
And I had to do that in college and I hated it.
well, yeah, you hate it. What's to hate about standing there and letting someone have a 10-yard run at you and smash directly into you? Like,
Ugh.
are we really about safety or not? I mean, everyone knows no one's about safety. They're only about creating more money, and so why they stay in that punt formation, I have no idea. It's ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing ever. The fact that everyone finally caught on to how stupid the rules are of punt in college football and everyone started running, it has set that single play back into the Stone Age. You can't hardly ever return a punt at all. It's like the rarest thing in college football now to see any type of nice punt return.
Do we even want to talk about the illegal man downfield stuff? Do we want to go down the RPO rabbit hole? I don't want to yell. I
No, it's been a good day. It's
okay.
that's
This is all I'll say. An inside linebacker should not be getting blocked by an interior offensive lineman and also trying to defend a slant that is being thrown in behind him.
no.
Just make the NFL rule the college rule. You get 1 yard as an O lineman, and that's to sell play action. You get 1 yard. One of my favorite things throughout the college football season is me sending you clips of inside backers being blocked 5 yards down the field with the quarterback releasing the football, throwing it to a receiver.
I saw it at the OU scrimmage the other day, and they had the referees there, and I was like, "What is he doing?" If the guy is right in front of him, and it was clearly like a bust by one of the offensive line. He was like, yeah, I think he was blocking the low safety, and they threw like a ball right by him, and he was blocking the safety, and the guy came underneath him. It was ridiculous. No flag.
We've said enough.